call this meeting of the Kerrville City Council to order. At this time, let me lead us in a prayer. Almighty God, as this council seeks to serve all the citizens of Kerrville, give us clarity about the issues we discuss and decide on. Help us always to treat our fellow council members, citizens, and city staff with respect. And may we continually have what is best for Kerrville, both now and the decades ahead, at the heart of what we do. I offer this prayer in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. Roman Garcia from the Mayor's Youth Council is going to lead us in our pledge.
Thank you. Please stand. You join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's Roman Garcia, Governor 2034. There you go. Sorry.
All right. Our announcements of community interest.
Yes, sir. Let me say welcome to everybody tonight. Thank you for being here. Welcome to our returning City Council members and, of course, to our new ones as well. Glad to have you. Just have a couple of announcements tonight. We have a new book club that is forming at, it's put on by the library, but it's actually going to be next door at the Kerr Regional History Center. And it's the Talking Texas Book Club. I think this looks pretty interesting. It's going to be an open club. Anyone can attend as often as they choose. It's free. The books will be discussed. Topics will be a mixture of things related to Texas and the Hill Country. The first meeting is this Thursday, May 24th at 11:30. So if any of y'all are interested, feel free to drop by there. I think the book that they're going to talk about is The Captured. It is a true story of abduction by Indians on the Texas frontier, written by Scott Zetch, and I believe they're actually going to talk about it. It gets issued on the 24th, and I think they'll talk about it at their next meeting and review it. So I think that looks like a lot of fun. It'll be the fourth Thursday of every month at 11:30 at the History Center. Okay, don't forget this weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun because we've got the Kerrville Festival of the Arts Saturday and Sunday, May 26th and 27th. Of course, that's this weekend. And this is a neat event. We host artists from all around the region. They'll be demonstrating their art down there. Again, the event is free, open to the public. There's lots of parking in the parking garage over here. That's all free. And the historic downtown area will be happy to have a lot of visitors to show off everything that they have. It's a fine art experience and a lot of chance to visit our restaurants and our shops. Because of the event, a portion of Earl Garrett Street and Water Street and a portion of Water Street between Highway 16 and Washington will close beginning Friday, May 26th at approximately 6 a.m. and it'll remain closed through the evening on Sunday, May 27th. That's just to make sure that we have lots of room for the artists to be there in the streets. But please, if you get a chance, come down and see it. It's always great to have a lot of guests downtown. It's great for the artists too. Okay, we have some events coming up with the Kerrville Parks and Recreation Department. We have an adult swim clinic, which is Sunday, June 3rd. And then we have swim lessons that are going on all summer long. But I was told today to make sure and tell everybody if you're interested in those, you need to get in because there's different levels and they are filling up fast. A good way to keep the kids busy during the summer. It's a great thing for them to learn how to swim too. And it comes in handy with a river flowing right through town. We have Get Outdoors Day coming up Saturday, June 9th at Louise Hayes Park. Lots of events on that day. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Louise Hayes Park. All kinds of activities for kids, and there's a 5K craft beer run for adults, which may come in, actually may come in handy.
Is that running to the beer or running after you
Yeah,
drink the beer?
well, it's after spending 3 hours with kids running around. You definitely want to do that. Two things, we need some dunk tank volunteers. Is that correct? City Council, anybody who wants to...
I volunteer Vincent Volker as a repeat.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in that, please let the Parks and Recreation Department know. And in conjunction with that, at 5:30 that afternoon, there's going to be a sand volleyball tournament. It's right next door at Lehman and Monroe Park. And I think there's going to be a big turnout for this because we put it out on our Facebook page, which if you're not following us, you should definitely go out and like our page because we keep everything updated out there. But it's drawn a tremendous amount of interest. So I think there's going to be a lot of teams competing. It's a 4-on-4 tournament, and I think they still have lots of openings, but I think that'll be a lot of fun and a great way to cap off a big day out there at the park. So mark that date down, and y'all be there. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Stuart. Okay. Now our visitors and citizens forum. Any who desire to speak, and if you do, you should have filled out a form in advance. So,
Do we have any?
okay, all right. Okay,
It would show up on the screen.
yeah,
but-
thanks. I've got to tell you,
There you go.
oh yeah, okay, all right. Let me say this. I've got paper up here, I've got an iPad, and I have co-pilots, George and Judy, who are going to help me navigate tonight. So anyway, Brenda Fudge. We'll go right there, yeah.
Brenda Fudge, New Hope Counseling Center. And those of you who know me know I could talk for hours about New Hope Counseling. So I have a script that's really going to be the 4 minutes. So I'm going to just tend to this and share the information with you in the interest of Mental Health Month. And thank you, first of all, for this opportunity to bring awareness to mental health. It doesn't have the stigma, thank goodness, that it used to have. Even Prince Harry says so, because any of you who watched the royal wedding and saw the interview with him explained how he had gone to counseling to deal with the grief and loss of his mother and encouraged others to seek counseling as needed. Working with a therapist can definitely lead to better ways of thinking, living, and overall well-being. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, so our New Hope team would like to share a little bit of information with you on how we can be of service here in our community. Let me introduce part of our team that's with us today, representing our board and the medical communities, Dr. Cynthia McNeely. And on the other end, representing our board and representing churches is Phyllis Lane. And then Linda Wilburn is one of our LPCs. That's a licensed professional counselor. By the way, she's a native Kerrvillian. Is that how you say that? And Marissa Dotson, LPC intern applicant. We also have a well-rounded team with Rodney Tilley as our LCDC. That's a chemical dependency counselor, and 2 bilingual counselors and 2 LCSWs, which are licensed clinical social workers. Excuse me. And for the last 25 years, Hill Country Christian Counseling Center, best known as New Hope, continues to serve Kerr County and the surrounding 6 counties for outpatient behavioral health care. As the only nonprofit Christian counseling center, our New Hope team serves a wide range and scope of mental health service for all ages, from 4 years old to 104 and beyond. We serve individuals, couples, and families, thanks to the support of our community. So let me quickly share one of my favorite sayings. A great nonprofit doesn't just fix problems, but reveals the power of the community to help solve them. Our New Hope team is focused on accessibility, approachability, and affordability. Highly skilled, professional, compassionate counselors are available to assist, while our office staff, through the power of our community, can help make counseling affordable through available grants that we have at any certain time, details about insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, or our New Hope sliding fee scale. So let me leave you with this thought and phone number. Some questions cannot be answered by Google, so call New Hope Counseling Center, 2573-009.
Thank you, thank you,
Thank
Brenda.
you. Any
All right,
questions?
Well, tell me again.
Take any questions?
Where you're located?
Oh, you know, for many, many, many years, we were in little separate houses in the Barnett Street area. And for the past 2.5 years, we have been one of the nonprofits in the new HCRC, the Hill Country Resource Center building at 1127 East Main. And we're Suite 100. Walk in the front glass doors, and we're the first door on the right.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much.
Thank
you,
y'all.
thank you. All right, we come to a presentation at this time and a certificate of recognition to the family of James Avery. And we have members of the family here, and I would like for them to join me here at the front. I would like to present you with this certificate of recognition to the family of James Avery. James Avery, founder of James Avery Artisan Jewelry, passed into the arms of our Lord on Monday, April 30th, 2018, at the age of 96. He was a dynamic, creative, and generous man who touched the lives of many people throughout the world during his lifetime through his work, his art, and his giving spirit. He had a great love for the community and continues to bring great honor and distinction to Kerrville through his legacy. His generosity can clearly be seen throughout the Texas Hill Country. Together, the City of Kerrville and the entire City Council honor the remarkable life of James Avery, presented this 22nd day of May, 2018, and it is signed by the members of the City Council. I will speak just very briefly behind what's represented here. There is deep appreciation for James Avery and the contributions to this community. And I have often talked to people about his appreciation for aesthetics and how he wanted to see Kerrville show that more. So I hear, is that an amen? I think so. All right. But also I will say that the plaza over by KACC at Earl Garrett and Main Street, the Mother's Love sculpture there, that will be dedicated later to him, and some other things that will be tied to that. But now, anybody want to say any word to us?
Chris is our spokesman. No, Chris is our spokesman. He does such a great job. Yeah, there you go.
He's the oldest one.
He's the
All
oldest.
right.
They can step in. Is that on?
I think
Is
it-
this on?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear it now. Okay, well, first question I have, am I on the clock?
Yeah.
But you're not. Not right now.
I'm not gonna take that long. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and secondly, congratulations to you and the new members of the City Council. It's good to be here today, and on behalf of the entire family and on behalf of the company, we're very honored by this acknowledgement and show of appreciation. As you know, Dad made this his home 64 years ago, and I guess like most guys, he got here because he followed a woman here. So my mom was originally from Kerrville, and that's kind of how it came to be. But he first, as he fondly says of Texas, he first discovered Texas when he was learning to be a young pilot when he joined the Army Air Corps back in the early 40s. In fact, they bombed Pearl Harbor on his birthday, December 7th, 1941. He was 20 years old. And so he joined the Army Air Corps, and then quickly they sent him to Fort Stockton to learn to fly, and then San Angelo, and then Lubbock, ultimately get his wings before he got his own B-26. And he was a B-26 pilot in Germany, flew 44 missions during the war. the age of 23. And as one of his pilots, one of his fellow crew members said many years ago, about 10 years ago, I was talking to him, he said, we knew when we got in that airplane with your dad, with Captain Avery, he called him, never called him Jim during the conversation. I looked at him and I thought, you never call him Jim? He said, no, I never did. I could never do that out of respect for your dad all these years. He was Captain Avery. He'll always be Captain Avery, because we knew, us 5 guys, when we got on that plane with him, we were coming home.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And they all came home, and they all had lives and children and grandchildren, and that was quite a touching moment. So anyway, so when he first came to Texas to learn to fly, he said he just fell in love with the people of Texas. He thought they were so friendly, because he was originally raised in the Midwest. So ultimately, through meeting my mom and college at Colorado, when he finally decided he might do something with his hands and do something other than teaching, he ended up here. And he never envisioned it to get to where it is today, but Kerrville, he loved Kerrville. Got a great appreciation for all the people and all the support over the years, and this place was a blessing to him, and he loved so many people, and I know he touched a lot of lives, so we're just very honored to accept this today. Thank you. Yes, and Paul just reminded me, I did want to tell you that he was the last living B-26 pilot. They're all gone. He was the last one. So.
You know, we don't have certificates for everyone, but we've got 3. I'm going to let you choose who gets it. So, yeah, all right, okay. All right. Good, okay. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're just going to end up going back out there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm going to come back down there for some more recognitions, but before I do, folks, on Memorial Day weekend, we ought to remember people like James Avery, last B-26 pilot living. Historic. All right. The members of the Mayor's Advisory Council, if you will come right up here. The Mayor's Advisory Council was started by Mayor Jack Pratt late in his term of office. But Mayor White really emphasized the youth of our community and this council, and so we owe her a debt of gratitude for what she has done with them. And I am presenting these certificates and resolutions of commendation. And let me read the first one. Whereas Catherine Buchanan has served as a member of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council with the date of service beginning June 27, 2017. And whereas Catherine Buchanan has served faithfully and dutifully on said board, now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Kerrville, Kerr County, Texas, that Catherine Buchanan be recognized for outstanding service as a member of the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council and that on behalf of the citizens of Kerrville, as well as for ourselves individually, we wish to express our sincere appreciation for contributions to the city and the community. And this is signed by Brenda Craig, City Secretary, and the council. And not all of the members could be here tonight, but I'm going to call your name, and if you're here, I will present this to you. I will not read each of them, but Catherine Buchanan, okay. Kayla Buck. Roman Garcia. You know him? Yeah. All right. Okay. Sydney Garcia. Okay. Grace Guerrero. There you go. Maria Hall. Chloe Keene. Ernest Trey Layton. Sung-Jun Lee. Caleb McCutcheon. Molly Murphy. Yeah, Mason Olmstead. Mason Roberts. There you go. Eliana Scotia. Okay, all right. One more. Aiden Smith. All right. Jessica Tron. No, okay. We will get these two. Thank you very much. Oh, you want to do a picture? Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, all you do.
Thank you.
We have members of the Elks Lodge here. Okay, if you will please come up. Let me read this proclamation. And the Elks Lodge, number 2081, will celebrate its 60th anniversary on June 2nd, 2018. And whereas since its beginning in 1958, Lodge members have volunteered their time and resources to help those in need in our community and served in all areas of the local, state, and national levels of the Elks organization. And whereas in the last 4 years, the Elk members have distributed over $80,000 to the Kerrville community via Elks National Foundation grants for multiple projects that support our local youth, veterans, individuals with mental illness, and those in need. The Elks are a committed partner with VA hospitals and facilities across the nation, and each year distribute over $1,600 worth of personal items needed to support our local Kerrville Veterans Hospital residents, and $2,000 to help stock the Kerrville Veterans Center. In the last 2 years, the local Elks Lodge has raised $30,000 for the Elks State Project for children with disabilities to attend a week-long summer camp at the Elks Special Camp facilities located in Otene, Texas. Did I pronounce that correctly? Okay. All right. In the last year, Kerrville Elks, their family members, and their friends have logged in over 4,000 hours and driven nearly 20,000 miles in support of these projects. The Elk Lodge members actively participate in all projects by donating their time to provide a social interaction as Elks Care and Elks Share. And whereas the Kerrville Elks Lodge is one of 1,894 subordinate lodges of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks that invest in their communities through programs that help children grow up healthy and drug-free, meet the needs of today's veterans, and improve the quality of life. Kerrville Elks Lodge, number 2081, was formally organized at a meeting held in the terrace room of the Bluebonnet Hotel on Thursday, May 8, 1958. During the first meeting of the original initiated members held on Monday, June 11, 1958, Mr. A.W. Farley, was elected the first exalted ruler. And whereas the first home of Kerrville Elks Lodge, number 2081, was located at 411 Main Street, and in the 1970s, the lodge purchased the land and buildings located at 1907 Junction Highway. The present lodge building was originally a wood structure that sat in front of the current building. Then the main portion of the current building was built in 1983-84. The lodge has always been active in the community and has steadily grown over the years and now numbers over 300 members. Now therefore I, Bill Blackburn, Mayor, do hereby proclaim June 2nd, 2018 as Kerrville Elks Lodge Day in Kerrville and encourage all our citizens to congratulate the Kerrville Elks Lodge number 2081 in celebrating their 60th anniversary and their good works for the community. Signed, Bill Blackburn, Mayor. And I congratulate. George, will you keep
I know, co-pilot dropped the ball there, huh?
Okay, let me get a picture.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right. Sure.
Enjoy serving our community, we really do.
Oh, good,
Thank you
good.
all.
And you do it well. All right. Well, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Were you gonna speak to us?
I did, Mr. Mayor. I said, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Okay,
Time on to the next speaker.
yeah, all right,
Oh, no, we recapture the time unused. We don't pass it on.
yeah. Okay. Our next item of business is our consent agenda. And these items are considered routine and can be approved in one motion unless the council member asks for separate consideration of an item. It is recommended that the city council approve the following items, which will grant the mayor or city manager the authority to take all actions necessary for each approval. 4A is independent contractor agreement with Celeste Hammond for an adult swim clinic at the Olympic Pool. And 4B is purchase of one 2018 Freightliner dump truck through Byboard Purchasing Cooperative in the amount of $85,666. Do I hear a motion in regard to the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull the 4A off
Okay,
of
all
the
right.
consent agenda.
Okay, we will pull 4A off and consider it separately.
Right.
Okay. Is that in the form of a motion to, no,
No.
okay.
No, that's
just-
just a
Okay, it's your
request.
discretion, all right,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, all in favor of 4B?
Well, let's get a motion
We need a
first for
motion.
4B, to approve 4B.
Okay, all
Somebody
right.
punched.
Do I hear a motion to approve 4B?
I move we approve and
Okay.
accept 4B.
I'll second.
4B, I'm sorry.
4B.
I'll second.
Okay, second. All those in favor of that motion, let me know as you indicate on the iPad.
Oh, yes.
What?
Okay. That is passed 5-0. Now, you want to pick up the agreement with Celeste Hammond for the adult swim clinic?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight what we're doing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna be
Yeah.
available to answer any questions that you had.
Okay, well, I mean, just so people understand what we're doing, we're having somebody basically, we're contracting somebody to come in and do adult swim classes utilizing our pool, right?
Correct.
So one of the questions I had was, it looks like a great idea and she's obviously someone who is really energetic about doing stuff. Is she going to do more than one day of classes, or is this, are we looking at doing more through the summer?
We're looking to expand. Right now, we're offering one class, but we have talked to her about expanding that as well if it does make, and if there is interest in it. She has some other ideas that we can do as well, but we'll bring those back to you at a future date.
Okay. Well, that's all I really wanted to do, was just to highlight somebody who just got put on the Parks Advisory Board and clearly has a lot of energy to do that. And so I was just highlighting that. That's the only reason I pulled it off.
I had a
Okay.
question. I was just curious about the fee structure. Is that stated anywhere in print material yet, or if I wanted to take a lesson?
Sure, it's $25 per person.
Okay.
They'll register at the Parks office.
Is that like 8 to 12, 10 to 12? And then there's lunch after? No. I think that's a deal. Okay.
Okay, do I hear a motion on 4A, agreement with Celeste Hammond for Adult Swim Club Clinic?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Judy.
I move that we accept 4A.
All right. Do we get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
And I gotta call timeout for a minute. My iPad that's gonna allow me to vote went to something not voting. I mean, it says it counts. I don't know what it.
Well, we haven't gotten to
Oh,
voting
okay,
yet.
there you go. Huh? Yeah.
Okay. If you'll indicate your vote on that item, 4A. All right, and it passes 5-0. All right. Now, consideration possible action, Kerrville, Kirk County Joint Airport Board fiscal year 2018 to 19 budget. Bruce McKenzie.
Mayor, Council, good evening. We've done this many times over the years, so I'll be brief. Back in January, the Airport Board began the process of working on this new budget for this coming fiscal year. We worked on it every month since January. We had a public meeting, an open public workshop, and the Airport Board approved this budget that we're presenting this evening. So according to the rules of the interlocal agreement, we have to present this budget to our owners by June 1 of each year. So I stand before you for the second consecutive year in a row, presenting a budget that's not only balanced, it's in the black, and we've done that 2 years in a row. And we're continuing to move forward. So that being said, I would respectfully request that you approve the airport's budget for fiscal year 2018 and 19.
Just in the way of background, for years, the county and the city subsidized the airport.
That's correct.
Are we now?
You are not. As of last year, you are not. The Airport Board, 8 years ago, when they became an autonomous board, has diligently worked to turn that $470,000 annually around. We've turned that around. We're asking for no money.
Mr. Mayor, if I could comment, this might be the last time that Bruce is before you all before he retires. So I just want to thank Bruce for his work in making that happen to get the airport operating the way that it is and leave it in good hands. He's to be congratulated for his service to the community.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
It is a huge asset to the city and the county, and huge impact in regard to economic development. And Bruce, you've done a good job, and he may be back next year because he's told the board that he would stay on until they found a replacement, and they're not looking very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
that we approve the airport budget.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All right, Delane? Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of accepting the airport budget as presented, you let it be known as you indicate your vote. Okay, 5-0. So, thank you, Bruce.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Okay.
Thank you very
okay.
much. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, this 5B, authorization to negotiate a professional services agreement for an aquatics feasibility study. Ashley?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I know some of you are new to the Council, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a brief history of this project and tell you why we were wanting to do this. Okay, so the Olympic Pool is a summer operational facility. We're typically only open June and July, but we are shooting for mid-August this year. It's situated in Singing Winds Park. It has it's a 50-meter by 20-yard pool, has a high and a low dive, it has shade structures, it has 6 lanes, it has a bathhouse, a baby pool, and a pavilion. Here's a picture of the baby pool. We actually added the shade structure and the 2 yellow umbrellas in 2012. We have open swim. We offer programming in the summer as well. Swim lessons, we'll do the adult swim clinic. We do water aerobics, lap swim for the adults in the mornings. And we also do competitive lifeguard competitions. And this year, a new program that we're offering is our junior lifeguard camp. Okay, so getting to the feasibility study information. Here's a photo of the front entrance of the facility. If we do make improvements to this facility, we will have to address some drainage issues that we have. When it rains, we have water that enters the lobby, and it also becomes a slip hazard and catches and pools at the entrance to the facility. Okay. In this photo, you will see it's our lobby. We have no designated first aid room. We have no real concessions, and it's pretty much the extent of the lobby. The cashier area is exposed. And there's no HVAC system, and there's no break room. And as y'all know, Texas heat is very hot in the summer, and our guards and our staff, they're out there 100% of their workday throughout the summer with no AC, so they get hot. As you can see, they look a little warm in the photos. The cashier brings her own fan. So essentially, they really don't have an area to cool off in. There's no break room for them to cool down, eat lunch. They're basically just hanging out in the lobby trying to cool down before they go back up on stand. If we could get the next slide, please. We have inadequate storage as well. We have a lot of safety equipment and programming equipment that we need to store, and we don't have appropriate storage for it. The restrooms are outdated, and they do not meet ADA standards for path of travel, the sinks, the showers, the restroom stalls. Essentially nothing in these restrooms are accessible. And here's a couple of pictures that I'll flip through. Our pump room, this pool was built in 1970, and a lot of the original infrastructure is still in the pump room itself. We have leaks in the pump room, we have leaks in the pool. We are constantly band-aiding it and putting new motors in and trying to keep it going along, but it's time to put some serious money into this facility to keep it operational. You can't really tell from this picture, but circled in red is actually a hole in the plaster of the pool. And you can see a little bit better in the next picture. I've circled it. You can see an outline where the leaves are actually in the divot. And this is actually becoming increasingly more pronounced. We have a couple, I would say about 3 of these so far that we've noticed, in addition to leaks in the pool. Trends. Aquatics has changed significantly since the 1970s. Back then, this is what they built. They built a rectangular pool, and they put water in it. Unless you're building a competitive pool, you will not see something built like this today. This is what aquatics is now. This is what people want to see. They want to be entertained. They want slides. They want play structures. This is actually a photo from the city of Round Rock's facility. I took it there last summer during our lifeguard competition. It's a really neat facility, but this is what people want. They want play structures. They want the fun factor. They want cabanas. And this is also a picture of a competitive facility, or also known as a natatorium. Natatorium is an indoor aquatic facility meant for hosting swim meets. You can see we have swim lanes here, we have backstroke flags, we have the diving blocks behind the flags, we have the lanes. And this is completely meant for just a competitive swimming facility, either recreationally, high school, or collegiate. Okay. So the scope of our study will be to evaluate our existing complex in its entirety, We will do a needs assessment, which will include involving public input and the input of our stakeholders, which includes Toronto University and KISD. We will get recommendations for improvements and enhancement, conceptual planning, and cost analysis. Some possible options that we might see are minimum improvements. So this would just be fixing pool leaks, fixing the plaster, basically keep us operational. We could also see major improvements for a year-round competitive facility with or without recreational improvements. When I say recreational improvements, I'm talking about the play structures, the slides, the fun factor. We could see improvements for a year-round facility utilizing the existing facility with recreational opportunities. We could also see a new indoor competitive concept and renovations to our facility as well. So we submitted a RFQ process. We received 9 proposals, and here we have them ranked in order. Marmon Mock Architectures was our lead highest ranking proposal. Their team consists of Councilman Hunsaker, which is a aquatics consultant. There's an engineering firm, and they've worked with Councilman Hunsaker for more than 25 years on a multitude of projects. They have superior experience with recreational and community facilities, both with the study side and also the design side as well. And they have an excellent public input process that they will initiate as well. So this project started last year in July with our Parks Board. We ran it through EIC, we ran it through Council, and now we're bringing it back to you to authorize us to negotiate a contract with our top leading firm that we've selected. And that's our recommendation. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a couple of questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. As far as Shriner and KISD, do we know in their districts or conferences, do they have competitive swimming? So if we do go that route, are they going to be actually involved in it, or is that, what's the difficulty of that?
They do, and that's part of their interest of why they're interested in their project. Both entities are interested in a competitive swim program, and KISD has also expressed interest in doing some programming as well, like us teaching some of their elementary classes, swim lessons, and having the availability for that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
When you mention the stakeholders, is OLH a potential stakeholder?
They will be, yes, because they do have a swim team, and they swim in Fredericksburg currently.
So they go to Fredericksburg?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We do not have a facility to accommodate them at this time.
Yeah, okay.
How long do you expect the study to take? Any idea?
Feasibility studies typically can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months, typically with the time frame. So that's kind of what we're shooting for, similar to the tennis project as well.
And so to what he was asking about, is the study actually, I've kind of asked this before, but is it going to present more concrete relationship between these stakeholders, or is it just going to be, are we going to get a study that says we've identified some people that would like to use it? Are they going to actually interact with them with some form of agreement?
Yes, so this is the process where we will be sitting at the table with them, asking for what their needs are, first of all, so we can evaluate what kind of project that we need. And second of all, what's their interest? What can they contribute to the project? Are they looking at capital funding? Are they looking at operational funding? Because certainly if somebody's interested in this project to partner with us, we're going to need help with some dollars to fund it.
And is the feasibility study going to produce not just construction of whatever, I guess we're looking at basically 3 scenarios, right?
Possibly, depending on the public input.
The study going to produce both construction as well as sort of annual maintenance operation costs?
Correct.
Okay.
We're also asking them to look at our workforce to see if we can sustain a year-round facility with our guards.
And one of the common threads in all these, I mean, I was flipping through the statements, I guess, of qualifications. Is it that Councilman Hensiker or whatever, are they like the person to go to? Because it seems like all of them are the ones you guys rated highly anyways, had them.
Yes, they were one of the lead firms, actually in the nation, and they were teamed up with just about the majority of all of the proposals.
Are they do they create these facilities, or are they a consultant?
They're a consultant. They do the design work and the feasibility study.
Okay.
All right, do I hear a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
What's the motion?
Okay.
What was the motion?
Yeah,
What
Got a
was the
motion
motion?
second, just, we've got someone that wants to speak to it. Peggy McKay?
Well, what was the motion?
What?
Approve it?
The motion is to approve.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
the motion is to approve.
Okay, but we're approving a particular person. We probably have to have that in the motion, right? Isn't that what we're doing?
You're actually authorizing us to negotiate a contract.
With
If it-
somebody, right?
Necessarily, if it fails to meet a contract with them, we'll move on to the next highest ranked proposal.
Okay.
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 Okay, so your motion is to proceed with
With the
the study.
feasibility study.
Okay, all right. And your second is
I'm
the same.
seconding it.
All right.
Do we have? a speaker
Okay.
for that?
Let's, all in favor, wait,
I think
We have
there's
a
a
speaker.
speaker that
what?
was.
We have someone,
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm not seeing it. Oh, okay. Peggy, did you want to comment? Okay.
Peggy McKay, P.O. Box 291464, Kerrville. After listening to staff, I'm really interested now in the degree of participation from the other stakeholders, because who most is going to use the pool? Is it going to be competitive swimmers? What's going to happen to all the kids who are coming to swim in the summertime? Because if this proceeds and they no longer have this pool, will they be able to afford the cost of going to a new facility, Aquatics? And I also remind council that we had a study last year in the 5-figure range, and the citizen participation only supported, greater than 40%, only supported the upgrading or repair of the pool in a children's pool. And everything else, we did not have that 50%. And the response to this was about the same percentage that we had in the last election of those who voted compared to those who were registered. And my concern is the stakeholders and how much money they will be putting into this. I have a feeling they will have more use of the pool than the city residents unless they're competitive swimmers. And I'm very concerned because our debt's almost at a max, and I don't see how we can afford another quality of life project before we take care of our water supply, our water quality, which has been a problem that's been going on since 2011. So my concern is that this is more of a want, and we're neglecting the needs of the city, the roads, the water supply, the water quality. Those are my concerns. Not that it wouldn't be wonderful to have a project, but when that survey was taken, the respondents did not support a facility. They supported the pools.
Okay. Ashley, would you respond as best you can on that?
I can.
Okay.
So, first of all, that's part of the studies to evaluate the use of the pool by the stakeholders versus the public, to make sure that it's going to serve all the needs of the community. And of course, that information will come back to you all, probably the Parks Board, for additional study and comments. So that'll be all part of the study, and that's why we're doing the study. As far as our debt, we are not at our max debt. On the utility side, we're stretching it a little bit, but on the GEO side, we're very healthy on our debt, and this would be a GEO-type project. Mm-hmm. So, again, I appreciate the concerns, but that's all part of the study.
Okay, all right. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor, if you would, oh, excuse me, yeah, if either one, yes or no, vote. All right, it is 5-0. We'll move ahead. Okay. Okay. Now I've got. I think I know this one, but I want to ask you. I make the appointment of the mayor pro tem, or do we vote on it? Huh? All right.
We vote on it.
You vote on it.
All right. Well, I'm,
Mayor, if I can have a minute.
yeah.
In accordance with the city charter, section 3.02, following the canvass of the general election, the city council shall choose one of its members other than the mayor to serve as mayor pro tem. This item is eligible for discussion in executive session if council so chooses.
Okay. I don't think we're going
Mayor
to need.
Blackburn,
Huh?
I would like to make a motion. I would like to move that we appoint Councilman Baruti, as our mayor pro tem for the coming year.
Okay. All right. We have a second on that motion.
You used your button? Okay. Second, I'll second that.
Okay. It seconds that. All right. Then the motion is that
Are you okay
George
with that, George?
Baruti will continue
Okay, just making
as
sure
mayor
you're
pro
okay.
tem, and we are ready to vote on that. All right. Good. Good. All right. Did you know that George Baruti is a baseball umpire?
They probably
He
do.
he umpires countless games and survives. Okay. All right. Then we move to 6, information discussion, financial update for the month of April 30th, and Amy Dozier.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Welcome to the new council members.
Thank you.
I'm going to be going over some financial information with y'all tonight. And I'm going to start with a little bit of economic update, general economic update, before we get into the specifics of our numbers. Let's see. All right, so this is fascinating to me. Hopefully y'all will find it that way as well. All right, so about a week ago, I went to a presentation by Dr. Steve Niven from St. Mary's University. He's an economist there, and it was a presentation about the economic outlook for the next couple of years in our area. And he went over some things that I thought were relevant that y'all would want to know about as well. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the yield curve, and that's what we have here on this slide. So the yield curve is an economic indicator. It's a leading economic indicator, kind of a predictive one. And basically, it's just looking at the relationship between short-term and long-term interest rates for treasuries issued, so U.S. Treasury bonds. And specifically, we're looking at the 10-year Treasury rate minus the 1-year Treasury rate. So in general, when you think of investing, you think of if you're going to tie your money up for 10 years, you would want to have a better interest rate than if you were investing in a 1-year Treasury bond. And so, for example, if the 10-year Treasury rate was 8% and the 1-year Treasury rate was 2%, the yield that we'd be looking at here would be 6%, and that's what would be graphed on this curve. So the things that are interesting here are when you're looking at the graph, and let's see if I can point to it. All right. Not too successfully. Well, you can see some gray bars there. And the gray bars that you see are periods of recession. And you'll note that before all of the periods of recession that are shown here, and actually back to 1956, there have been periods where we had an inverted yield curve, which means that the 1-year Treasury rate was actually higher than the 10-year Treasury rate. And when the yield curve goes below 0 like that, that's a leading economic indicator of an impending recession. And it's predicted all of the last recessions since 1956. So as you can see, as we get over to the right side of this graph, we're heading towards 0 right now. In fact, I was just looking yesterday at the rates, and The 10-year rate is just over 3%. The 1-year rate is 2.32%. So we're at like a 74 basis point spread right now. So not much difference between that 1-year rate and 10-year rate. So it's something just to be aware of. This is something that, that Dr. Niven pointed out as what he thinks is one of the most important economic indicators out there. Things could change. Things may not continue to go in the direction they're going in right now. But I thought this was interesting as we go into our 19 budget planning process. So I wanted to show y'all that. The second thing that he talked about that was also interesting relates to the unemployment rate. And so the unemployment rate is something we talk about on just about a monthly basis, and I'm sure you all know that it's very low, which we generally regard a low unemployment rate as a good thing. One thing that Dr. Niven pointed out, though, is basically when you get to about 4% unemployment, that's considered functional full employment. Just about everyone who wants a job can find a job at that point. We're dipping down even lower than that right now. Kirk County's at 3.6% as of March. This graph that's shown here shows San Antonio, Texas in the U.S. San Antonio's at 3.5%. And one of the things that Dr. Niven was pointing out is as we look forward for growth, with unemployment this low, we need to be aware of, can we grow if there are not people to fill the jobs that might fuel the growth? And looking at some of the surrounding counties, Gillespie County in March is down to 2.7% unemployment. So just very, very low unemployment. And so while that's generally a good thing, we do need to recognize that that could slow down growth if we don't have people to work in jobs that we could create.
If this was meant as a pep talk, you're missing the mark, just so you know, okay?
Yes, I thought I heard that.
I have some good things later on,
okay,
but
all right.
these are just things to be aware of. So, so what Dr. Niven was concluding in his presentation was that he thought growth would continue for at least the next year, so at least the next 12 to 18 months, he's predicting continued growth. After that, he has a little bit more concern about what do things look like longer term, and just in general, the business cycle always cycles at some point, and he wanted us to be aware of that. So these are things that as we go into the fiscal year 19 budget discussions, I wanted y'all to be aware of. So now we'll move on to a few other things. All right, so talking about the 19 budget, we have a retreat coming up this Friday, and we're going to be talking about some budget priorities at that retreat. We also have budget workshops scheduled with y'all for June 19th and July 17th. And I just wanted to kind of go over some budget methodology with you. We do use conservative growth estimates, especially when we're talking about the more volatile revenue streams like sales tax. Our financial policy dictates that we maintain an adequate reserve fund balance, and we intend to continue doing that. And then also just looking at, during healthy years, making sure that we transfer any surplus to more one-time purchase kind of items that we buy out of separate funds, like our asset replacement funds or our capital project funds. All right. Now moving on to our actual results through the end of April. On the general fund side, year-to-date revenues exceed expenses by $4 million, and just as a refresher, that's we expect to be in a position like that at this time of the year. Our largest revenue stream for the general fund is property tax, and property tax comes in mostly in the December and January time frame. So we get a lot of revenue, but then we have to use that revenue for the rest of the year. So we're not getting in a lot of property tax right now, but we still have the same level of expenditures or similar level of expenditures. Sales tax, we've talked about sales tax the past couple of months, and for the month of April, our sales tax did come in flat. So compared to the prior year, we were basically exactly the same. Our budget had predicted that we would be up 3.6%, so that's of concern, and we've talked about that previously. But the good news is that you don't quite see in the April numbers, we did in the month of May, already receive our sales tax for the month of May, and it's up 5.1% compared to May of 2017. And we saw increases in all of the categories, our retail category, manufacturing, food services, our large categories. We saw increases across the board. And as you may remember, the May sales tax actually relates to sales that occurred in March. So that would have been like spring break kind of time. Also when we were starting to ramp up activity at the athletic complex. That's the sales tax dollars we're actually receiving from the state in May. On the property tax side, we did make a payment in April to James Avery. We have a 380 agreement with them, which is a economic development agreement related to the new facility that they built out by the airport. And you know, they're required to meet certain conditions regarding staffing and that kind of thing. And they have met all of those conditions. And so this 380 agreement means that we refund some property tax to them. And it lasts for a 5-year period. We're actively managing our expenses, and if we do have any shortfalls as we get towards the end of the year, we're making sure that we're keeping those expenses in line with any fluctuations in the revenues. Let's see. Moving on to our all other revenue category. So our main revenues in the general fund are property tax and sales tax, which we've just talked about. But we also have other revenue sources, and we're a little bit below budget right now on our other revenue sources. EMS revenue is the biggest one of those other revenue categories. We've seen a little bit larger than anticipated disallowed and bad debt numbers, but overall we are still very happy with our EMS billing services provider, Intermedics. They are doing a good job of collecting dollars for us and a better job than we were able to do in-house on our own. And our other revenue also includes taxes for franchise fees from providers like Time Warner Cable, Atmos Natural Gas, and we just recently we received quarterly payments on those. We just got those payments in the last week for the last quarter, and they are coming in above our budgeted numbers. So as of the end of April, we were down a little bit. Things are turning around in May on those. Permits and fees are a little bit ahead of budget. Municipal court fines a little bit lower than budget, and recreation revenue, which is primarily Kerrville Shriner Park, is performing better than budget. This slide, I just wanted to give y'all a visual picture of where we spend our money on the general fund side. When you look at it by category, personnel is by far our largest category. When you look at it by department, public safety, which includes police, fire, and EMS, account for the largest expenditures.
Before you switch, can you go back to that one?
Yes, sir.
Because I was going to ask a question later, but with the picture there, it makes more visual sense. Well, that's more an observation than a question.
Okay.
One of the trends that I keep, I guess, is a pet peeve focused on or whatever, is the relationship between these general fund expenditures by department. And so the one that's been jumping out, and we just talked about the pool, so this is going to be a factor in here, is Parks and Rec is now almost up to 10%. I think we budgeted it like 9.8, but whatever. So it's close to 10%. The things that jump out at me is 5 years ago, Parks and Rec was 7%. And so I went looking to figure out who's losing a piece when they're gaining it. What I discover is that our public safety 5 years ago was 56% of the pie, and now it's sitting at 50. So that's a trade-off that we made over the last few years that people ought to be aware of as we go into the budget season. The other is streets, because people complain about that. Streets are sitting at the same piece of the pie as parks now. Do we know, or I guess this is a question for future getting an answer to, what sort of division of the pie do cities normally go at? I mean, is 50% normal for public safety, or is 56, that type of thing? So I'm not expecting an answer today. I'm just saying that's something I'd like to kind of find out about.
Other cities, definitely public safety is always the largest piece of the pie.
Right.
And yeah, at least 50% is what I've seen in my research. And coming up on Friday, these are some of the things that we'll specifically talk about at the retreat and as we go into the budget season. Certainly during the workshops, we'll be looking for guidance from council on priorities. And yeah, those, I was actually looking at some like 10-year graphs,
Right.
looking at the split by department, and I think that's what you're talking about as well. So we'll be discussing those as a group as we move forward with the budget process. So. All right. Moving on to the Water and Sewer Fund. The Water and Sewer Fund expenditures exceed revenue by $46,000 as of the end of April. That's also to be expected. Obviously, we sell more water in the summer, so going into the summer, a lot of times we're in the red a little bit, and then we balance things out over the course of the months that sell more water. Our sewer revenue was up in April, 4% compared to the prior year. And y'all should take a look at your sewer bills because we do the sewer averaging on the residential side, which means we can't meter your sewer. We can't measure how much sewer water you have coming out of your house. So we do an estimated calculation, and we set your rate for a 12-month period, and it's recalculated every year. And the April bill is when you see that new recalculated rate. And that recalculated rate is based on your actual water consumption during the winter months, when we assume that most of the water that you use is going into the sewer rather than into your yard. Let's see. Moving on, I'm showing some of these same kind of graphs for the Water and Sewer Fund, just so you can get an idea on the water sewer side, how we spend our money. We have a lot of transfers going on the water sewer side. And I've broken them out down below. So obviously we have a large transfer for debt service. We also have a transfer related to an administrative fee that the Water and Sewer Fund pays the general fund for services like IT, HR, administration, finance, that kind of thing. Those are the two largest ones. But anyway, some of these pie pieces get kind of small, but at least you can see where we spend our money and how we spend it.
How do we calculate that administrative fee? Is it a flat fee number or rate, or what did we do?
It's broken out by department, so we look at each department individually that provides services to the Water and Sewer Fund, and then we have a different metric. So for example, the HR department, that's one I can think of just off the top of my head. We look at number of full-time employees on each fund, and so the percent of full-time employees in the Water Sewer Fund compared to the total number for the city is the percent of the HR budget that's allocated, and it's a different metric like that for each department depending on what service they perform.
Okay.
Moving on to our Hotel Occupancy Tax Fund, I wanted to point out some good news here. That for the month of April, our hotel occupancy tax is up 12.3% compared to the prior year. Hotel occupancy tax is a little bit different than sales tax in that there's just a 1-month lag there. So this would be, April revenue would be March hotel stays that we're looking at. And year to date, we're up 5.1%. We've looked at some of the information actually by property, and we've seen increases at just about all properties. We've had like the Jellystone Resort, has obviously had a large expansion, so of course we see increases there, but even at properties with no, expansion or anything like that, we're seeing increases. All right, moving on to the Golf Fund. The Golf Fund, this is one that we'll be talking about through the budget process as well. Our expenditures there exceed revenues by a little over $16,000 through the end of April. In 2018, we're actually transferring $80,000 from the general fund to the Golf Fund to help with their operations. And that's the first year we've done that. So last year we didn't do a transfer like that. You can see those, the bars that are going down below the line there Those represent the cash balance that the golf fund has. So they have negative cash right now. And anyway, we will be addressing the golf fund as we move forward with the budget process with some different proposals on how to correct that situation and address the gap. And I believe, EA, you're going to be doing a CIP update, is that right? Okay. I'll just briefly go through the capital projects because EA will be going into a little bit more detailed as part of the city manager's report. But on the general fund side, the project that had the most activity in the month of April was River Trail. Westward progress is continuing. The contractors were clearing land and pouring concrete in April. And then moving on to the water and sewer side of things, the reuse pond is obviously our biggest expenditure there, almost $1 million. And I know y'all have all seen updates there, so the pond is about 1/3 of the way filled, maybe a little bit more at this point. The sports complex reuse pond is also part of this reuse system project. And we have progress continuing there. The excavation is complete. The pump station installation is nearing completion. And liner installation is underway at the sports complex reuse pond. And that wraps things up. Any other questions?
I had one more. It was
Yes,
sort
sir.
of toward the end there.
Uh-huh.
In the list of projects, one of them was street carryover fund.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the extra money that we budgeted to spend on streets?
So for the past couple of years, we've budgeted like 1.5 million for
Right.
paving, 1.25 a
Right.
couple of years ago. And we were not able to spend
Spend it.
all of that money in the fiscal year. And we don't we have to reappropriate money every year
Right,
in
so
those
that's what this
operating
was,
funds.
right?
So yes, so whatever we did not spend in the last 2 years, we moved into this project fund.
Right, which seems untouched. So my question is, are we gonna spend it? We are? Okay.
Yes, we are, and I know that Stuart presented something, was it last month or the month before? We've recently awarded contracts, and
Yeah,
we do
that's
have plans to spend the entire leftover balance in the capital projects fund as well as their operating budget this year,
Okay.
all before the end of the fiscal year on September 30th.
Okay. That's
I've got an observation and a question.
Mhm.
Since we're talking about streets, can you explain to me why I became mayor and then the city redid our street up to our property line?
They did.
And they said what we had was good enough. So.
I understand,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
I
thing.
noticed that too.
Yeah, you noticed it. Well, okay. I want to ask you something, and Charlie McElvain may need to be called on this one. Given sales tax revenue, why do we collect twice the sales tax revenue that Fredericksburg does?
That's an interesting question. I mean, well, obviously our population is larger. We're definitely, as we learned last month with that retail coach presentation, we're a hub. We draw a lot of people from the west and from surrounding counties and communities. We have a Lowe's and a Home Depot that Fredericksburg doesn't have. And then we have a James Avery Craftsman that Fredericksburg doesn't have. We have some definite draws here. But yes, it's a very different dynamic in Kerrville than Fredericksburg on the sales tax.
Mayor, the
basis.
other issue is that all the sales tax that we get is not just on the traditional retail sales that you would think about. So we get sales tax on solid waste, on telephone.
K-Pub is.
Yeah, K-Pub is a big one.
Fox Tank.
Right, so there's a lot of things that in construction, and so there's a lot of things that you don't normally think of as being sales tax generators that we probably have more of than Fredericksburg does.
That's a good point.
Okay.
To your first observation, just so you know, when I first got on council, they actually repaved the section right in front of my house, but not on the outside. It made me nervous, to be honest with you. But that's what happened.
Well, I'm glad they didn't do that. Yeah.
So,
All
I don't
right. Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep the good news coming, Amy.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now I've got a question. We need to go into executive session for board appointments.
Yeah, but can I make a suggestion to that? The 7A and 7B, if we could just move them down after the city manager's report and drop them into executive session there. And we can move 7C as well, but I didn't think we needed to go into executive session on 7C. So
Okay.
I'm suggesting we move 7A
Yeah.
and 7B down
Yeah,
to
okay,
and lump
Right.
the executive session together,
okay.
right?
We're all right on that, lawyer?
Yeah, if you
We're
want to go ahead and
deferring
make
it
that
to-
motion.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
I'm not moving that we go into exec, I'm just
We're
maneuvering
deferring
the
it
list,
to-
which we don't need a motion for, right? I can just,
Right, right.
yeah,
You
so
just
that's all I'm
bypass
doing is
that.
Okay.
reordering it, we'll come up
Right.
to what it is.
That also means you don't have to wait while we go into executive
Right.
session. All executive session will be at the end.
Right.
All right. So, in light of that, we ready to move to the city manager's report?
Well, you're gonna do
7C.
7C.
I mean,
Oh,
we can move
7C.
7C in if we
7C.
want, but I
Yeah,
don't think we need
okay.
to.
All right. 7C, appointment to the Kerrville, Kerr County Joint Airport Board.
Mayor, the term of Corey Walters, Place 1, will expire May 31st, 2018, and pursuant to the interlocal agreement with the Kerrville, Kerr County Joint Airport Board, has recommended Keith Miller be appointed to Place 1 effective June 1st. The Kerr County Commissioners Court appointed Keith Miller to the Airport Board on May 14th, and this item is eligible for executive session if you want to.
All right, okay. Are we all right in dealing with that now?
I am.
Okay.
I mean, I would go.
Yeah, I've read.
Can we hear a motion then? to
I
that
would
effect?
make a motion that we appoint Keith Miller to the airport board.
All right,
I'll second it.
all right, we got a motion and a second. And if you will indicate your vote on that.
I don't have a, oh. there we
Okay.
go.
All right, it's 5-0. Okay. Now, we'll go to the city manager's report.
Mayor and council, just a few highlights on the report that's coming around to you now. You'll get this on a monthly basis, a status report on the capital projects. Ms. Dozier covered some of that in her report, but I want to highlight a few others just very quickly. Line 3, Singing Wind Drive, getting to Councilmember Rudy's question about spending money. This would be a big ticket item that will use a significant portion of the monies that did roll over. That's Singing Wind construction to begin the first week in June.
Well, that's Acme Bridge Beep Beep Zoom, right?
That's the one.
Okay.
And then number 4, Legion Lift Station in Forest Main, just a little bit of an update to what's here now. We did have a funding agreement that was approved by the EIC last night, so that item is moving on schedule. 12, Tennis Center improvements. We are in the process of compiling an agenda item for you on June 12th so that you can see the final scope of that project that we'll be putting out for bid based upon public input before we proceed. Number 19, the tax increment reinvestment zone for the downtown. That study will be presented to you at this point, hopefully on June 12th as well. And so that's just the study, not the creation of the zone. That would be a follow-on should you all choose to do that. The hotel and conference center study, which is item 20, that also should be ready to present to you on June 12th, talking to you about what we can support as a community, both in terms of the number of rooms on a full-service hotel and the meeting space and ranking of different locations. And then number 22 is the RFP for the public-private housing project, and that we anticipate putting that RFP out this summer. So we want to talk to you some more about that this evening, later on in an executive session as an economic development project, but also at your retreat. We'll have plenty of time to have some discussion about that. So that's it, and I'd be glad to take any questions now or tomorrow or Friday
I have a
during
couple
the retreat.
questions, Mark. There's something I brought up, I guess, at the end of last summer. Can we get an update on obtaining access to the baseball fields off of Holdsworth Drive? I know we're platting the property we own, but we don't own Calhoun Boulevard or Home Run Drive, are we gonna get an easement, or what's the status on that?
We are working with the property owner to complete the easements as part of the replatting process.
Because that will include utilities and everything.
Yes, sir.
And what about here at City Hall, 27? Same thing?
Yes, my understanding is the property owner for the block is working through a correction plat.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay. Any other word? Okay. Items for future agendas. It sounds like you've given us several here. Anything else?
Yeah. Does anybody on council have one?
Okay. Do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Look.
We will deal with personnel and officers, state law 551.074, and then the other session on economic matters, and that is 551.087.
I would make a motion that we move into executive session to discuss agenda item 7A, EIC board member appointments, and 7B, city council board appointments under 551.074. And we also go in for 10A, economic development update under 551.087. And I would request that we just go in with city council to discuss 7A and 7B, and then call out for city manager and deputy city manager for the 10A when we get to that.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second to go into the executive session and deal with those matters. Okay. And the vote is 5-0. I want to thank you very much for being here tonight and for your participation and seeing this part of how the city works. Thank you.
For all the volunteers.
Yeah, yeah. We have a motion from the executive session that will be presented by Delane.
Okay, with regard to the openings on the Economic Improvement Corporation, I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Kenneth Early, that we appoint Don Bornett, and that we appoint Margaret McGee.
Agenda item 7A.
Yes, regarding agenda item 7A.
And I will second that.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second.
I got something to say. If
Yeah.
we could move, or Brenda's not here, but we can move forward to, I guess, advertising that we're accepting applications for all the boards moving forward.
Yes. All right. Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, let's vote on that.
He didn't get the thing pop up on the screen.
Didn't pop up.
Yeah.
You? His machine
He
isn't working.
doesn't have.
You know, maybe he shut it down. That's what.
Actually, hold on. Is there?
Yeah, what's your vote? Why don't
You
you
got to refresh maybe?
Oh, okay.
Down low.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, there we go. There we go.
See,
Okay.
Copilot got it right.
All right. Okay, now I need to ask you a question that, there were two, persons on EIC that we were not renewing for another year. Does that require a motion? Okay,
The two you're talking about.
Their term expired.
Two-year term?
yeah,
Right. So those terms are expiring.
okay, all
One of
right,
these.
okay. All right, and then to, board, appointments. Airport Planning Board will be Judy Eichner. Economic Improvement Corporation will be Delane Seegerman. Kerr Economic Development Corporation will be Bill Blackburn. Playhouse 2000, Delane Seegerman will remain there as a board member, but as a council rep. And we have no further appointments at this time.
Hang on, the airport's supposed to have 2, right?
Yeah, but it's
So-
Vince,
so-
and he can make those meetings.
He can't
So,
make,
but you gotta appoint him.
Oh, I'm
'cause
sorry,
it's
I'm
a
sorry.
yearly thing.
Okay, additionally, Vince Vocal will be on the Airport Planning Committee board, or committee. Okay,
So I'll make a motion to approve those.
all right. There is a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All right. Yeah, okay, it's 5-0. Were all of our votes tonight 5-0?
yes, they were.
Do we win a prize? Yeah, yeah. Okay. Hey, thank you, council, for good work. And at 8:46, we're adjourned.